Welcome back to Dinner for Two. I'm Stanley.
All right, and I'm Kathy, and today we're going to talk about how your words can either build or break your relationship. Today's episode is called Talk That Talk, speaking life into your relationships. So we want to talk to you about how important your words are. Words matter. Words are spirit. Words are things that you can feel. They touch you. They live with you, sometimes forever.
Yes.
But you can't see them. You can't see them. You can't taste them. But you can certainly feel them. So with that being said, words that we say matter. And it's important that we realize how important words are. So we're going to talk about speaking life into your relationship this episode. You ready?
Yes.
All right.
And we're going to start off with Proverbs 18 and 21, which says, the tongue has the power of life and death. So whether you know it or not, your words are shaping your relationship.
Yeah.
And the question is, are they building it up or are they tearing it down?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a good question. Today we're going to show you how to use your words to strengthen your love, increase your connection, and even help you heal from some of the past things that may have happened in your relationship, some past hurts. So let's dive in. You ready?
Absolutely.
All right, let's go. Let's get it.
All right, so initially we need to do a quick reality check. And so on average, how many times a day do you compliment your partner or say something positive about your partner?
Wow. That's a good question. Think about it. Just pause for a second. How many times a day do you compliment your partner?
Are you intentional about complimenting your partner?
Yeah, I don't know. I try to be more intentional about it now than I have been in the past because we've talked about it more, and I realize how important it is to you because sometimes I know for you that's a motivator for you. So, and what I've learned is that for a lot of men that's a motivator.
Yes.
Just from some of the groups that we're in and some of the other couples that we spend time with and that we talk to, a lot of men are saying that just compliment me. And ladies, they're little boys. They're little boys on the inside. They just want a Hercules. They want it. So it doesn't hurt us to give that to you from time to time, especially when you're doing some things that we really do appreciate. So, let's be honest. Most of us correct more than we compliment.
Absolutely.
We correct more than we compliment. We criticize more than we compliment. And those things can be hurtful. But research shows that healthy relationships have at least a 5-to-1 ratio of positive to negative interactions.
Okay.
And I'm a researcher, so I'm going to always try to dig for the facts. And that means for every one negative comment, you need to have 5 positive ones to help balance it out.
That's because the data doesn't lie.
Right.
The numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie. That's why I like numbers.
Yes.
I'd rather go to numbers all the time because they're going to just tell you what it is. So when we think about that, a 5-to-1 ratio. So if you think about it, in your day, honestly, do you say 5 things to that one criticism or to that one correction that we make? Now, I'm not suggesting that you don't correct when things are wrong, because you definitely need to do that because that's part of our role for each other.
Yes.
I would prefer that you correct something with me than I have to get out, or you let me go out looking crazy. I know, right? Or you let me go out and saying crazy things or whatever. If you know that it's wrong, it's your responsibility to correct me. But again, it goes back to, tone and timing.
And that shows extraordinary care if it's important enough for me to make sure that I correct you, even though I think it may hurt your feelings. I need to care enough about you to be able to do that. Yeah,
you need to care more about me than me overall than my immediate feelings. But you can actually do both when you think about how you say it.
Right.
So again, you know your partner. Figure out the best way to give that correction, and the best way to direct them, so that they don't feel as though that you're criticizing or that you're coming down, but that you actually are saying, yeah, no, that's not good,
Right.
or we got a better way of, or there's a different way. And if we use words like different instead of better or worse, then that helps. That helps as well. That helps as well.
Okay. It's just amazing for me how, if you've listened to the previous ones, that all of the information that we're giving you is foundational. So we continue to go back, and all of this works if you've done the things that we talked about before.
Yeah.
If you've learned how to effectively communicate, if you're intentional about showing them care, if you're intentional about making sure that there's a touch. We had talked about early in the year that you shouldn't touch your phone in the morning until you've touched your spouse.
Wow, yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and a lot of times we do that. We grab that phone.
First.
We grab that phone first.
Yes.
We're going to grab that phone first, and you haven't even had a moment to have some sort of intimacy with your spouse. And remember, when I say intimacy, I'm not talking just sex.
Right.
I'm talking about some sort of intimate interaction, meaning there's an interaction between the two of you
Right.
that sets the tone for the day. And if you're not there at the same time, whenever you're in the same place, whatever time of day it is, we're saying morning, but it could be whatever time, have some sort of connection, make some sort of connection so that you can start your day. And it's hard to do that too if you went to bed with that raft on your heart too.
Well, but we talked about that before too, is
yeah.
that don't allow the sun to go down on that.
Right.
And so I need you to tell me, I need you to touch me, and I need you to tell me what you told me when you touch me.
Yeah.
So I need all of those things on a regular basis.
Good. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. So we're talking about being intentional again, intentional affirmations. And when you catch your partner doing something right, say it.
Yes.
Doing something that you like, say it. Say it. And let's be clear, it isn't about being fake and flattery. We're not talking about fake stuff. But don't they do enough stuff right that you can catch something? Yeah. Be authentic with your appreciation, even small things like, you know what? I love the way you take care of our family. I love the way you clean my car. That's a good one too. By the way, I love the way you clean my car. And I love the way that you play gas fairy. I love that. I love getting in there. I don't even know if I look at the gas thing because I just assume. So don't stop because I never really pay attention to that.
Thank you.
But those kinds of things. And I appreciate how hard you work. Or you look amazing today. Those kinds of things that go a long way. And it doesn't cost you anything. My grandmother used to say, it's nice to be nice and it doesn't cost you anything.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a perfect example. You were in that seminar, the AI seminar, and it just hit me that when it talks about who's the most interesting person you know.
Yeah.
Well, you're the most interesting person I know. And one of the things that's interesting about you is your capacity to learn. Early on, it was like, she is this, she don't never get enough or whatever it is, always striving. But as we've matured in this relationship, it's not about, you don't get to get. You get to use and you get to learn. And that's different. A lot of people get information just to accumulate information. That's not who you are. And so if giving positive affirmations, being intentional about telling you things that are positive, that's one of the things that I've learned over the years is that your capacity to learn is unmatched.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for taking the time in this moment to give me that affirmation. I appreciate it. And thank you for noticing that. That's important to me. Thank you. So the culture of love and security in a relationship is created through those kinds of things. So it's what you say. It really is your words. It really is your words. So now let's talk about how to handle difficult conversations in a way that builds instead of breaks in these relationships. There's something that we call the 3 P's of positive communication in a relationship. When you're talking about speaking life into a relationship, what are those 3 P's?
And you notice that we said positive communication. So where there's a positive,
there could also be a negative.
Absolutely. And so number 1 is pause. before you speak. And you had an acronym for that. What was the acronym for that?
Oh gosh, one was Elmo, and that was enough. Let's move on.
Right.
But the biggest one I think was it wasn't Elmo.
I was thinking about weight.
Weight, yes, and weight. Weight was good. Thank you for remembering that one, because I was like, I knew it was. There were like 3 of them, but weight, and weight means, why am I talking? Ask yourself, why am I talking? What are you talking for? Pause before you speak and make sure that if it's not positive, it's not going to bring about a positive change. Remember, again, I said disagreements and conflict is not negative. We need to reframe that. It's not always negative. It's just sharing of 2 very different ideas. It's how you handle those things that become negative. So ask yourself, why am I talking? Am I talking for resolution? Am I pausing? When I pause, which is the first P, when I pause, ask yourself, wait, why am I talking? Why am I doing this?
Right, because in that moment, hopefully you'll have an opportunity to reflect. And so am I saying this out of anger? Am I saying this in order to hurt? Am I saying it as a get back? Am I saying it for the reasons that are going to, once again, either cause our relationship to grow or not grow? And our growth should always be the objective. So that was number 1.
Right.
Number 2 was personalize, don't blame.
Yeah, so instead of saying you never listen, why don't you say something like, I feel unheard? You never listen.
Right.
Sets one tone. I feel unheard when I'm trying to share information. Those are 2 very different things.
Absolutely.
One really creates the vulnerability, or gives space for the vulnerability around the feelings that you truly have, that makes you, it talks about you and what you're experiencing. And when you make those I statements and you start talking about from the perspective of I feel, I believe, I am left with, those kinds of conversations are different than those blaming conversations when you don't ever, you don't what. I hate absolutes, by the way, because nothing is never and always except Jesus. But other than that, when you start to think about those kinds of things, you have to be really mindful of the language that you use. So when you say personalize, don't blame, personalize it. Make it about what you're really feeling. And again, we're back on feeling, so we're going to have to do something about that language.
Yeah,
and making sure people have the words to use. Because sometimes you're not angry at all, you're disappointed.
Yes, and that's totally different.
Yep. And the last one?
The last one, pray or reflect first. Before saying something out of frustration, ask yourself, will this bring us closer or push us farther apart? And that's something we haven't talked about it yet here, but we talk about it, is that there's no such thing as a neutral relationship.
Right.
No matter what relationship you're in, they're either pulling you further away from your goals or closer to your goals.
Yeah.
And so you have to always be assessing the relationship that you're in and making sure that it's headed in the right direction.
Yeah, you want to make sure, too, that you are really quick to listen and slow to speak, as in James 1:19 talks about. You want to make sure that you're also slow to anger. And take your time when you are speaking life into your relationships, that your words are not setting your relationship up for failure. Sometimes your words frame your word. Well, not sometimes.
Yeah,
the word, word, it was a word that created earth. So that created life. So with that being said, just understand that you have that authority, and with that you need to use it cautiously. Speak life. Say things that are positive. Even when you're in a situation and you're having some intense fellowship, you say something positive. Say, you know what? This is something that we're in right now, but we can pause in this moment because we're going to have resolution. And we're going to be sweeter on the other side of this. So let's talk about this in a way that's loving, that makes sure that we both feel heard and valued, and that we're both respected at the end of this, and we end up in a place where we've actually solved the problem, not walked away angry.
And one of the things that you always say is make good choices.
Yes.
So you always have a choice. And so since you have a choice, make good choices. And in a relationship, the good choices always got to be whatever's in the best interest of your spouse. And so that, I think that statement fits no matter what topic we're talking about, no matter what the situation is. Make good choices. And if you make good choices, you're going to have good outcomes.
Yep.
Yes.
That's it. That's it. And sometimes you have to pause to do that.
Yes.
Because things will rise up. We're not telling you by any means that this is easy.
No.
It's not. It's not. You have to be intentional. You have to pause and say, you know what? No, I got to stop. I got to stop me. And some of it is a learned behavior that you've been successful with or you think you've been successful with for a long time. So it's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel like you're giving in. It's going to feel like, you may even feel like I'm being weak in this moment. But let me pause and tell you, you're not. That is real strength. That means you are taking control instead of being controlled. Your emotions are indicators. They're not dictators. So once you realize that your emotions are indicators, they're letting you know something is going on inside of you, but they don't dictate your behavior. You control that. So take control. Take control. And to take that back and say, I'm not doing that. I'm going to respond in a way that's going to give life, that's going to speak life, and that's going to give us what we need. It's not going to leave us in a situation where we're worse off.
And I thought about something when you were talking about that. It's not about saying no. It's about saying yes. Because I'm going to say yes to doing the right thing. And so I'm going to say no to that emotion that's rising up in me. Yeah. So in that situation, it's the opposite of what we would normally do.
Right.
It's not about saying no, it's about saying yes.
Right.
Because the no is going to get me deeper into the situation. And the yes to doing the right thing and making a good choice is going to help me to rise above.
Awesome. I like that. I like that. Well, let's get into this challenge really quick so we can wrap this up.
Okay.
So this week's challenge, we're giving you a simple but powerful challenge, and that is 5 words of life. That's it. It's very simple. So every day, say 5 positive things to your partner. That's it. Every day, say 5 positive things to your partner. Remember, we talked about that 5-to-1 ratio earlier. So go ahead and map them out if you need to. Map them out, plan them, but just notice 5 things. That means you're going to have to be intentional. That means you're going to have to pay attention. That means you're going to have to be present. But look and figure out 5 positive things that you can say about this person. Remember, this is the person that you chose. So you saw something. Go back and find those things. But look around. There's a reason that person is still in your life. There's a reason that person is still there. There's a reason that you still call that person spouse. That's a reason, or partner, or whatever you call that person. Whatever that person is in your life, or wherever you are in your stage of relationship, I want you to do that this week. Just give them 5 things. It can be a compliment, encouragement, appreciation, just something that uplifts them. It doesn't have to be, and don't make it fake. It has to be authentic. So that's what we're going to do with this week's challenge. And remember that building bridges is always better than burning them down. You don't ever want to burn those things down. So choose wisely. You always have a choice. So
and one thing that you've done in the past when you're going to be gone is, especially when you leave before I get up, is writing on the mirror in the bathroom, just an affirmation or an I love you or something. And then I wind up leaving that up the whole time you're gone.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to be leaving town or something.
That is huge as it relates to staying connected, which is one of the things we talked about before, is that intimacy is not about the sex in the relationship. It's about everything that happens before. Right. And so that's one of those elements that really assist in building the intimacy in a relationship.
Yeah, sex is the cherry on top. It's the cherry on top of everything. And if we could get people to understand that, they would understand how important it is to do those other pieces along the way. You really would. It's mental for us. For me, I'll say me, let me not speak for every woman in the world, but for a lot of us, it's mental. So you have to start there. And if our minds aren't there, then you get the rag doll. You do. That's it. It's real talk. So we all can have real talk, I hope. Or I'm going to have real talk anyway. But with that being the case, I just want you to know that, it's space for all of that. You just have to build all along the way. You have the power to speak life into your relationship. Why do anything else? Why do anything else? So now we're wrapping up everything. Everything that we've learned so far has been hopeful, and we're continuing to build. We have one more episode left in this series. So our next step is strengthening your relationship, and we will be talking about next the power of we. So don't miss it. It's coming up next. Thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time.